What's up, traders? I am Vincent Mokoteli from VinnBoss Signal Factory. This is not a financial advice. It's powerful education for those ready to level up. With the right mindset and real strategy, success is within your reach. Welcome to VinnBoss Signal Factory, where signals meet success. So traders, with the euro and the dollar, what we are going to see today is what happened last week, since I did not make the weekly forex forecast. So on this daily video, I will also be including what has happened over the previous 2 weeks. So without wasting much of our time, of course, this will be a fantastic place for us to remember that on Monday we did reach the first new high right here, and after that we started bottoming to the downside, but the overall direction was still, if you remember, this arrow was still biased to the upside. So after that we had suffered maybe once or twice. I remember this one, we had an invalidation and a re-entry because of the second demand zone that we mentioned during the week at 1.1628. It was a fantastic setup to go for and look for buying opportunities. Break even, re-entry, break even, and then on Friday we did mention, if you go on and check the Friday video of NFP signals, you would understand that we did go to the upside. All this was discussed only on the real account traders community, and the YouTube video we only discussed the 6 rather the 3, because Euro Canadian dollar and Pound Canadian dollar and the Euro Pound, we had already taken profit during the week at that time. So without wasting further time, this is what happened from last week, and now we get to see what will happen going into this week. So traders, with this week's analysis, what we can definitely see is that from last week after the NFP signal, I did mention that there's a high possibility that the drop rates from the US might, the NFP might print weaker drop data. So that is why Fed was, of course, pressured to cut rates this September. So without wasting much of our time, I do believe that we are structured to the upside, and if we are going to be looking for opportunities this week, I believe the demand zone at 1.1681, it is the best place to look for buying opportunities, of course, and then to start looking for that momentum to the upside. But if we do not get anything like a pullback, because Friday already has its own pullback, but this will be a fantastic place. And if we get a deeper pullback like in the pound and the dollar from last week, we can still find that buying opportunities will be expected at 1.1664. This would be a fantastic place to look for buying opportunities, of course, going into next week. And without wasting much of our time, I do believe that these are not the only opportunities. If we do not, we might just check. Excuse me with this. I'm using this where I'm not usually using my computer. So after this, we might expect to see this buying opportunities, of course, and the continuation to the upside. If we buy from here, it will most likely be a 1:3 risk to reward ratio, depending on if you understand how we place the 1:3 risk to reward ratio versus how we put on the target of a new high as the target, as opposed to 1:3 risk to reward ratio. But without wasting much of our time, this is what to expect. This is today's video analysis of the euro and the dollar. So with that being said, I still think this is still nothing, but if it does have a great momentum, small pullback to retest these highs right here, these lower highs that are made here with tails, you see these 2 candles. After that, a continuation to the upside to break that 1:3 is still fantastic, of course. And if this, I know I already have to tell you about what might possibly happen, but if this comes down strongly for no apparent reason or based only on fundamentals, a pullback will be imminent if we break the weekly breakout structure at 1.1607 to look for selling opportunities, of course, and to continue going to the downside to make that 1:3. Now, we always have to analyze each and every single possible opportunity that might come, even though right now it's a week where everybody's gonna make money. I think even new traders, just by watching this, it's not gonna be complex at all, because we are now facing a week. September is a volatile month, and everybody's good with September except August. The last 2-3 weeks was a bit difficult for us as traders, but for now this is going to be a fantastic setup, and everything is all buying the euro. The theme is buying the euro going into this week against the majority of the pairs. So without wasting much time, let's go straight to the pound and the US dollar. And traders, with the pound and the dollar, what do we have, or what did we have from last week? We did have this was a deeper pullback. Remember, I did, if you were following me, without a doubt, you would understand that even though this broke our weekly breakout structure, I did mention that I'm not looking to sell this no matter the outcome. I was expecting for this buyout and then a retest of this and then a continuation to the upside to make a new high. If you were following me on this, you would have remembered it was last week Tuesday. You can go to last week Tuesday and check what I said about this. And last week Wednesday, I do not think this would have gone down based on, and I did remember I said it's only based on the dollar strength. This is not based on anything else but the dollar strength. So with that being said, this played out exactly as I did expect, because even with the NFT, the market shot straight up in the sky for us to make a new low and structure us to the upside. Now, this was a fantastic week, and this was a fantastic signal from the NFT. All the real members, the real account traders are now making fantastic profit with this, but we did not hold overnight because, of course, I did expect a pullback, and we will discuss this further on with this. This is what I was expecting. Yes, you can see the arrow that points up from last week. It was structured to the upside. Now let's go over and see what do we expect going into this week with the pound and the dollar. And this week, this is the analysis and this is the setup. What do we expect? We do expect after this structure to the upside that is now imminent, a true wave to the upside. What do I expect? I can see one more push to the upside, buying opportunities right here at 1.3459. It will be a great place to look for buying opportunities and keep momentum to the upside with the pound and the dollar. But indeed, if we do get a stronger pullback, the second place of demand, which is 1.3415, would be a great place to look for buying opportunities again, of course, and to look for that momentum to the upside. Both these setups, if they do happen, I think they are far beyond that 1:3 if you know how many pips to risk or if you know how to scale in. And if we do not get any of this, because there's a possibility that the market does not allow us any deeper pullbacks, especially with last week's NFP. It was the worst NFP in I don't know how long, from missing off 72k or 75k to 24k. It was the worst print of all time. So with that being said, traders, I don't think we might get pullback, but we have to follow the strategy, of course, and go with it. So what do we have now? If we do get this, and then after that we come back down to retest, this will be our 1:3 risk to reward ratio. I know it looks like a B, but you know and are listening to this, expecting that to be 1:3. This is the only time we will get 1:3. You have to find a way to get into the market, and without wasting time, I don't think this will just go straight without a pause. You will find a pause in the market and a continuation to go to the upside to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Yet again, if we do not go, the market does not go to the upside as expected, somehow the dollar gets a boost from any fundamental or Donald Trump saying something that might influence the dollar to the upside, this will be a break of structure, of course. And then after the break of structure, 1.3332 will be a great place to look for selling opportunities to go to the downside. Only if the DXY itself is strong, and anything other than that, we would not be entertaining any selling opportunities, of course. That's why I am here to make sure that I highlight factors such as that and remind you what has happened that led us to be into this position where we find that we need to look for buying opportunities in all the euro pairs without wasting time. So without wasting much of our time, traders, this is the pound and the US dollar for us, and we are now going to the euro and Canadian dollar. And traders, now that we are in the euro and the Canadian dollar, I want you to see how good the strategy is. Last week I was structured to the downside. That is why the arrow is facing the downside, and we didn't even reach the second demand supply zone, of course, but the market went straight to take out our target profit. And then after taking this target profit here, we were able to reach levels of 1:2, or the trade was 1:5.37. This was the target profit of a new low. This was not 1:3 as it is visibly possible to every trader out there. So after this, we did mention that we will not deal with this trade as it might automatically go to the upside with the NFP, of course. And after this, the NFP structure to the upside. And this thick blue line is the daily resistance line, or this only marks the fact that we are now structured to the upside. That's why I'm saying you just have to buy the euro against the dollar, against the Canadian dollar this week, and you also have to include the pound against the dollar and the pound against the Canadian dollar in this week. So without wasting much of our time, last week this was the signal that we had, and then the take profit. After take profit, the market reversed, and this was not unexpected. Of course, it was still expected. So what do I expect from now? Let's just jump straight to the market to see how this market will shake up for us, the euro and the dollar this week. And this week, with the euro and the Canadian dollar, what do I expect? I expect a pullback, a continued pullback to the downside to retest this demand zone at 1.6179. This will make a fantastic setup for me to go and look for buying opportunities, of course. And this is just a change of structure. We are structured to the upside. If we do get a deeper pullback, of course, something that runs in the lines of the second demand zone, which is at 1.6124, it will be a great place to look for buying opportunities and to look for that 1:3 risk to reward ratio, of course. And this is a 1:3 risk to reward ratio. More or less, this also is a 1:3 risk to reward ratio. But if it does make 4 or 5, it will be a fantastic setup to go for buying opportunities, of course, in this pair. And with that being said, traders, we are now structured to the upside. This is why I said you must buy the euro against the Canadian dollar, buy the euro against the US dollar. Even the pound, you can buy the pound against the US dollar. You can also buy the pound against the Canadian dollar. Now that is what I'm expecting. That is the trades that I'm going to keep in mind when I'm going to analyze or keep the data on this week's market structures and movement. So without wasting time, we are now going to the pound and the Canadian dollar to see what happens. As you can see right now, I think we are going deeper to that pullback. Then after the bounce, continuation will also be imminent. And let's go to the pound and dollar. And this week with the euro and the Canadian dollar, what do I expect? I expect a pullback, a continued pullback to the downside to retest this demand zone at 1.6179. This will make a fantastic setup for me to go and look for buying opportunities, of course. And this is just a change of structure. We are structured to the upside. If we do get a deeper pullback, of course, something that runs in the lines of the second demand zone, which is at 1.6124, it will be a great place to look for buying opportunities and to look for that 1:3 risk to reward ratio, of course. And this is a 1:3 risk to reward ratio. More or less, this also is a 1:3 risk to reward ratio. But if it does make 4 or 5, it will be a fantastic setup to go for buying opportunities, of course, in this time. And with that being said, traders, we are now structured to the upside. This is why I said you must buy the euro against the Canadian dollar, buy the euro against the US dollar. Even the pound, you can buy the pound against the US dollar. You can also buy the pound against the Canadian dollar. Now that is what I'm expecting. That is the trades that I'm going to keep in mind when I'm going to analyze or keep the data on this week's market structures and movement. So without wasting time, we are now going to the pound and the Canadian dollar to see what happens. As you can see right now, I think we are going deeper to that pullback. Then after the bounce, continuation will also be imminent. And let's go to the pound and the Canadian dollar. And from last week, traders, the pound really had a fantastic setup, went through our first demand zone, of course, and we did not have any interest in selling this. Went straight to our second demand zone, and after the first candle that came in, we were jumping in because of the confirmation of a bearish engulfing. And then afterwards, this was a fantastic sell. We take our profit, of course, to here, and we did make 1:8.2 risk to reward ratio with this signal. And after this, traders, I did mention that we were not going to be looking for any continuation to look for the downside. Some of you might have, if you're not following our strategies, as this was a fantastic set and it was more imminent to the downside. I did mention that I'm not going to trade this again, as the dollar might continue to be weak, and if it continues to be weaker with the NFP, of course, traders are going to move their money from the dollar straight into the euro and the pound, and I do not want to be on the wrong side of that. And with that being said, the confirmation of what I was saying led to the buyers move to the upside, and this week I can now confidently trade this pound and Canadian dollar with the structure facing the bullish momentum. So without wasting further time, let's go straight to this week's current market to see what is happening, or what has happened, or what might unfold in the business market. So traders, this week, with that pointed out from last week, what we'd like to see is a continued pullback to have a retest at our first demand zone, of course, 1.85980. This would be a great place to look for buying opportunities to make that new higher, or possibly that 1:3. And after that, this would, if we do get a deeper pullback, of course, with the market, this would be a great place to look for again buying opportunities at 1.8529. This would be a great place to look for opportunities, buying opportunities, bullish patterns and formations to continue to making that upside momentum and make this new high right here at 1.85980. 8721. This would be a great case. But rather, if we do not have any chance of going down, we might just get bullish momentum, just like right now we have this bullish engulfing possibly that is about to end in 2 minutes time, and this also signals a strong continuation to the upside. Yet if we do have that, we would like to see a small break above this high, a retest and bullish confirmations right here, and after the bullish confirmations, of course, we'll be continuing to the upside to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Now if you want to know how we risk this, please make sure you join the real account traders community. It is free. It does not include any you paying us currently at this moment. What you need to do is register your account with XNS under our broker link. The broker link will be left on the video description of this and also on the pinned comment. And then after registering with that broker, verify your account and fund the minimum of $100 and then send proof of registered and funded account to us, and you can get signals not only of these 6 pairs that we are now talking of on YouTube or the YouTube watch list, which consists of the euro dollar, pound dollar, EURCAD, pound card, euro and pound, and last but not least the US dollar, Canadian dollar. But rather you would get all currency pair signals and not only the morning London session analysis with us, but the morning London sessions together mixed with the New York sessions of that particular day. So you get 2 times the analysis, all the currency pairs including gold and silver, Bitcoin trading. Of course, we do not mind Bitcoin, we give trading signals of Bitcoin. So rather than mining it, you make money with it, losing momentum or daily momentum. That's what I want to clarify when I say Bitcoin trading. And that's all that you have to do. And you will have not only that, but you get also a course, a trading course. That trading course includes the basics, it includes the medium knowledge, it includes the fundamentals, sentiments, and all different strategies that will allow you to talk the market like me or understand wave analysis like I do, and where to put the demand zone, of course, going into next week. And on the real account traders community, we also discuss before the opening of every week which currency pairs are the strongest, which currency pairs are the weakest, so that you can pair the strongest to the weakest. Let's just make an example. If the euro is strong and the Canadian dollar is strong, you do not want to trade the euro and the Canadian dollar. Rather, you would rather pair the euro, the strong one, with the weak one, and the Canadian dollar strong one with other weak currency pairs. You are going to get strong momentums like these ones in those currency pairs. So with that being said, traders, this is what I do expect. This is what I want to see. All traders using this system of weak versus strong currency pairs. And with that being said, a fantastic opportunity will always arise for you and for you to double your trading account. Just like I said, this can also be your signal entry. This is a bullish engulfing, of course, bullish patterns and formations. This is what I'm talking about right here on these levels. When I say look for buying opportunities, this is another buying opportunity for you to go and get yourselves that 1:3 risk to reward ratio setup. So without wasting further time, traders, let's go straight to the euro and the pound. And my lovely traders, this is what happened last week. Of course, we did mention that great opportunities from the demand zone. We did have great opportunities in engulfing patterns, and then boom to the upside, boom to the upside. And after that, we had already made profit on Tuesday. We had already made profit on Tuesday. That means that there will be no entering of trades again this week, no matter all these bottoms. Now, what do I still think? I still think this is still structured to the upside, undoubtedly. and I still think we might get a great setup to continue to the high right now, but all we need to do is wait for the signal. So let's go over and check what to expect or what the market has in store for us with the euro and the pound this week. And this week, traders, with the market analysis that we do have right now on the euro and the pound, what do I expect? I expect a small pullback to retest our demand zone at 0.8669. This will be a great place to look for buying opportunities, of course, to continue to the upside to reach that target of 0.8712. But it is most likely that it will be a 1:3, as this is pretty much close to our intended target, depending on the risk that we will allow. So with that being said, traders, this is the first scenario. The second scenario is if we get a deeper pullback to retest the second demand zone. This would still be a fantastic place to look for buying opportunities, of course, to make that 0.8712 or make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Or rather, if we do have a change of structure, we find that the pound has benefited more from the dollar losing strength, then this would be the case. The break of structure, of course, right here at 0.8637, and then a pullback will be imminent to retest this area of the broken resistance of the broken structure, the break of structure, and then a continuation to the downside to make that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. This one will only be 1:3 risk to reward ratio because of the break of structure. Not only will the break of structure allow us only to get 1:3, but the market would have moved more while it was on the reversal wave. So that is it. This is the euro and the pound. Last but not least, with the euro and the pound, of course, we have to check. Last week we did make 1:4, 4.42 right here, as you can see, and it will be a fantastic place to go to the upside. Now, with that being said, traders, this is the strategy that we are using on the real account traders community. I know it always looks flawless every day when we post a daily video. That's because it is. It also does not only include key levels to watch the market reaction from, but it also includes trading psychology, because there are some things that needs you to know when to trade, when not to trade, how to trade these currency pairs, despite them fading a lot of price out, just like we've seen on this video with the pound and the dollar. We did fake a lot last week with the sell momentum, but I was not interested in selling the pound no matter what. I was only looking for buying opportunities last week. So that's what happens. But if you're not in this real account traders community group, you will never ever be able to find those kind of setups and that kind of mentality, because trading, I understand trading is just clicking buttons sitting from your desk, but it has nothing to do with that. But the majority of trading has to do with the psychology part of you trying to understand when to trade, how to trade, and understanding your feelings right before you trade, understanding your feelings and emotions during the trade and after the trade. It is important part of trading. So without wasting much of our time, traders, we are now going to the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. And again, traders, with the dollar and the Canadian dollar, we did have certain invalidations from this level. I was looking for a strong momentum to take out this low at 1.3725. We did not get this. After the NFP, every pair just beat the dollar to the ICU levels. I'm sorry to make that example, but it did. And then afterwards, this Canadian dollar currency did not do it to that much extent. Let me show you why and what is happening. This is kind of a knowledge for you guys to take on to. Now, if the Canadian dollar was strong enough, it would have taken this to the downside, but it was never strong enough. So the reaction of the market was to create this fake out. Then after this fake out, everybody who was trying to sell the US dollar and the Canadian dollar got faked out, and then after the fake out, the market continued to the upside despite the dollar being beaten by most of the major pairs. What does that mean going into this week, right? You would like to know that do we still try to look for selling opportunities since it did not break our weekly breakout structure, or have we changed this? One thing that I can tell you is that all of this that you are seeing right now is both currency pair. Like the week before, I can just make sure that if you are following our videos, you would understand that from last week I was not interested in this. From the week before last, I was not interested in this. It was on the 25th of August. I was not interested in this pair, but structurally I was structured to the downside, and we did have a fantastic setup that goes to the downside. Now, with that being said, we have a similar week again ahead of us. We are now structured to the upside, but I'm not interested in this pair. Why? Just like I told you on our strong and weak, strong versus weak currency pair that we have this as the Canadian dollar. It is dropping. We have this as the US dollar. It is also dropping. Now, what does this mean? It means this pair is not stable enough until either one of these fundamentally this week gets even weaker or stronger. Now, I do want to look for selling opportunities in the dollar. Of course, I am not looking for any buying opportunities in the dollar. And even with the pound and the Canadian dollar, as you've seen, I'm only looking for buying opportunities. Even with the euro and the Canadian dollar, I'm only looking for buying opportunities. Now, both of those pairs that I'm looking for selling opportunities gather around here on this currency pair that is called the dollar and the Canadian dollar. Now, it means that it will not be as clear as it should going into this week. I would like to stay away from it or have what I'm risking. If this is your favorite pair, you should have what you are risking so that you do not risk your money on an unstable market. Now, with that being said, let's go over and see what it has in store for us as traders. And structurally traders, this is to the upside, even though I would not be very much relentless on assuming that the dollar might continue, to the downside again, but structure-wise, this is still to the upside, and this is the first demand zone, of course, at 1.3814 to look for buying opportunities, of course, and continue to the upside to reach the target of 1.3853 or make that 1:3 risk reward ratio. If we were to get deeper again, 1.3783 would be a great place to look for buying opportunities as a deeper pullback to make that new high at 1.3853 or that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. This is what I'm expecting. This is what I'm seeing. Now, this also is closer to, even though it is not that close, but it is still closer to our new high. Rather, if we do have a different setup, this would be the case. So if we do not, I don't know if we would buy this right here, but I don't. But I think we would break above this new high for sure to clear things out. As of course, if it does break this new high, correlation wise, EURCAD, pound card would already be on their target profit or would already be in a winning trade. So after this, we would come back down to retest last week's high at 1.3853 to look for buying opportunities, of course, and continue to the upside to make 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Rather, if the Canadian dollar gets stronger than the supposedly US dollar, of course, a pullback is imminent, and then a sell from here is most definitely going to give us that 1:3 risk to reward ratio. Now, this is the US dollar, Canadian dollar, all the options that are included in this structure according to our strategy. And I don't think I would ever see, because of the structure, I don't think I would ever see this. But the structure can be broken, as we have seen, as we are now used to. Structures do get broken, and when they do get broken, there are still opportunities within the broken structure according to this strategy that we are using. So traders, this is the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. And that being said, every trader that has this on their watch list, they need to be careful. All I'm saying is divide your risk by 2 so that you do not lose what you automatically would lose, because this is my structure. I'm now structured to the upside. Any selling opportunities I'm not looking for, and I think selling opportunities will contradict what the structure says. And with this being said, the Canadian dollar is one of the weakest currencies in this week. You can sell it against maybe multiple currency pairs, but with clear, obvious demand zone and supply zone, it will be a fantastic setup going into next week, just like we did see with the euro and the Canadian dollar, the demand zone, just like we did see with the pound and the Canadian dollar, the demand zone, of course. So traders, that's it from me. Thanks and for watching this video, and happy trading today.